not only when you make more money, we make more money, but if you don't make money, we don't make money. So we're like, our ass is on the line to make sure that you are successful. And if you're not, if we don't deliver, we don't get paid either.
In terms of the company Patreon, you're actually like a VC-backed sort of like tech startup in your own right. Like, I think you raised like $150 million plus, like this really cool, fast-growing company. So I'm curious, like, it seems funny, like going from like grassroots creator to like starting this tech company. Like, why did you decide to structure it as a company? And like, how does I'm a big proponent of like, if you want to move fast and like change the world, like raise money, build a product, like that's how you got to do it. So, but I'm curious of your thought process of like how you thought about turning this idea into a real company and then like raising VC funding.
Yeah. It was one step at a time. And that's something I can't stress enough. There was no, I would love to say this whole thing has been strategic and a brilliant plan from the beginning. Not how it worked. Like, first version of Patreon, it goes out. Holy shit, 1,000 creators signed up. Okay, we need somebody to answer all their emails. Okay, we got to hire somebody. Oh shoot, we can't afford to hire somebody. Okay, let's raise some money. Okay, we raise a little bit of money. Now we hire somebody. Now they're answering emails. Now we need customer support. Okay, now we need creator partnerships team. And then we raise a little bit more money and then we hire some extra engineers. It was like incremental, one step at a time. We just solved the next little problem that was ahead of us. And now here we are 7 years later and we've raised 160 million, something like that. Okay, one thing I will tell you that is deliberate though, and this just comes from, my co-founder is Sam, is a genius, built all of Patreon by himself and is a serial entrepreneur, amazing guy. I think Patreon, we want to build a better system, and that's we want to change things for creators, and we want to put some pressure on Facebook and YouTube specifically to be more creator first in their roadmaps and to think about monetization. And they're starting to do it actually, which is incredible. And you might view it as competitive, but I'm also just glad that they're finally solving that freaking problem because it's about time. But I think in order to do that, if you want to attract the best engineers and the best product people and the best marketing folks and actually make a dent, there's a certain element of like, well, we need to move fast. We need to build something that's meaningful. We need to scale it quickly. And then there's also just the element of we were growing way faster than we were able to keep up with. So we had to hire so many people just to answer inbound requests from patrons and creators, right? We couldn't handle that load by ourselves. And so it was the right thing to do. I mean, the only reason Patreon has been able to scale to this point is because we raised money, and we were able to kind of hire the team and build the product to serve those folks. And yeah, I mean, I think the big question is, that everyone always asks is like, hey, like, what's the silver bullet? Like, how are you going to stay creator first? And are you going to go down that kind of VC tech spiral that companies go down? And my only answer to that is there is no silver bullet. It's about hiring passionate people who care about creators and prioritize creators top to bottom. It's about finding the right VCs who want to make impact, who care about building things for customers, and who want to serve those people. It's about building a culture of creator centrism and talking about the importance of serving creators. It's about constantly stepping back and evaluating the choices that you're making and making sure that you're staying true to your values and your mission. There's no silver bullet for that kind of stuff. It's just every day chipping away and making sure that you're doing the right thing and being a good citizen and a good liaison for creators and the web. And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence. If there's one thing I think Patreon has done really, really well, it's just getting passionate people top to bottom who just bleed creators. And that, I think, at the end of the day, is ultimately what our strategic advantage is that we bleed creators. We care about creators more than anyone else in the world. And I think, that manifests in the things that we do and the choices that we make and the products that we build and everything that we do.
Yeah. And I would actually argue you almost have found the silver bullet because your incentives are perfectly aligned with creators. Like you make more money when I make more money. And I feel like that, like you've unlocked just like the product market fit and just how you're helping people. Like it feels like, I don't feel like YouTube's on my side. I don't feel like Facebook's on my side, but I feel like Patreon like has my back, and you really do. And the business model is structured so you do have creators back. And I feel like that's such a unique sort of like, I think it kind of is a silver bullet in a way.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and what that business model does is not only when you make more money, we make more money, but if you don't make money, we don't make money. So we're like, our ass is on the line to make sure that you are successful, and if you're not, if we don't deliver, we don't get paid either. And that alignment, in many ways, it relieves the pressure that a lot of companies have of having to. The best way I heard this ever phrased was by Chad Dickerson, who used to run Etsy. And he said, we don't, because of this certain product or thing that they were doing, he said, we don't have to choose between people and profit. And for us, it really feels like that. We don't have to choose between creators and Patreon doing well, right? We're not like, we're not asking creators to, to pay us a monthly recurring fee, whether or not they make money, right? We're taking a percentage, of a creator's success, which means we're not successful unless creators are successful.
So people always ask me like, if you could invest in one company, because I'm super big into Tesla and Elon Musk, and I'm like, what would it be? And I'm always like, I never have a good answer. But then the more and more I was leading up to this interview, you can't invest in Patreon because it's private. But right. I wish I was like Patreon, and Jack is like, that's someone on my list of like, when I think of like 2 or 3 companies that I'm like, wow, this is really A, building a future I believe in, like empowering creators, and B, like how big of a business can this be? Like maybe your valuation's around $1 billion, a little less today, but like it's literally creating a new market of like helping like the finger puppet people monetize, like all these micro new markets. But I'm like, wow, this is something that I could see getting so big. And like very rarely do I think these companies have like, so much potential as like this sort of pipeline to get creators to their fans. And then by being that pipeline, like it's such a valuable piece of infrastructure for the new creative economy. So I'm curious, like, how big is your vision for Patreon, and like how far do you think this can go?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's important for me is I want Patreon to be a long-term independent company that can prioritize our mission. I want it to be a company that looks at the world through the lens of a creator and hunts for problems and then solves those problems on behalf of creators. So if you look at just what's happening with creators right now, there's more and more creators every day. If you interview if you talk to kindergartners, or if you interview kindergartners, I think it's something like 1/3 of kindergartners say that they want to be a creator or something like that, depending on which country you're in. Maybe It's even more than that. Folks are growing up knowing that being a full-time artist is possible, which it wasn't a decade ago. But now it is. Literally, like the difference between 2020 and 2010 is like, it's not a question anymore whether you can be a full-time artist. People know you can be. That is game changing. And that just means there's going to be more and more creators every year that are super excited about this idea. So the market is growing massively. I think there's this wonderful study. God, it's called Recreate Coalition. Have you seen this study? They do it every year. It's kind of like a market sizing for creative people who earn money online. And I think in 2017, the number that they released was something like $7 billion. Creators earned $7 billion just in the United States alone. And that's like across, a bunch of different types of genres and platforms, but that's not even including like consumer pay. I think it was mostly just like platform fees and stuff like that. And it was 17 million creators. So that number is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we estimate when we do market sizings, we estimate 3/4 of creators are outside of the United States. So that's only like 25% of the number of creators in the world. And again, that number is just continuing to grow. So yeah, I mean, there's so many people that are starting to do this.